What's going on, everyone? It's the afternoon here. Just finished a long day of some calls, and I have a very, very special video because I figured it out. I figured out why I stayed in that victim mindset for so long. I figured out why I couldn't recover. For the longest fucking time, I stayed in a state of inaction. Or even when it was action, I was checking off the boxes. And it was in a state of just continually showing up with 90% effort, 95% effort, 80% effort, barely showing up. Even 100% effort wasn't enough. It had to be 110%. And the only thing that got me to get to a state to where I could put 100% intention into every single solitary aspect of my life was when I anchored in a vision and a why. A why, a reason. Because the why is your driving motor. That is the force that drives you to get out of bed in the morning. That is the force that allows you to get up and actually get to work. Without a why, without a reason to get up, it is very, very difficult to get up in the morning. It is very, very difficult to attack the day. I used to really, really, really hate my life. Worst derealization ever. Every single symptom I experienced, I felt like it was forever. I thought I was going to be like this for the rest of my life. I remember the visual symptoms I had. I remember I used to get like visual snow in my vision. It was just static everywhere. I used to get the worst intrusive existential thoughts. I just thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was separated from everyone around me. And I wanted to get out, but my only why was I don't want to be feeling like this anymore. And I'm telling you, when people reach out to me to get help and to fully recover, and they say like, yeah, I don't want to feel like this anymore. That can't be the reason. That's not a strong enough reason. That's not a strong enough why. A strong enough why is something to where you have to do it for the greater purpose in your life. I had to recover because I knew that I would never be able to have a family. I would never have been able to start a business. I was never going to be able to change anyone else's life if I didn't fix myself first. I knew that my relationship with God was slipping. I knew that I was losing all of these aspects of my life, and the only thing that would got me to anchor in the life that I wanted to live was me having this why and me saying this why clear. This is why I get on with all my clients and I make them write down the my reasons list, their why, and I put it up. Literally put it on their wall. They see it every single day, because what your why is the driving motor you're going to have. If your why is so strong, that's going to shoot you up to success in anything in life. Even in the business I have right now, in anything. Why am I doing it? If your why is for money, you can't be successful. If your why is for something greater, like to help other people, boom, that's an actual why. So when you're trying to recover from DPDR, you need to focus on your why and your driving motor. Now, what do you do next? You have your why. Then I had to anchor in the vision that I had internally, because I was constantly chasing the reflection in the mirror. If you think of life like it's a mirror, my life is a mirror, and it boomerangs every single thought and action back to you. Your conscious and subconscious mind pick up on everything. My camera just overheated, but your conscious and your subconscious mind pick up on everything you do. No matter what it is, it's always picking up on what you do. And what your conscious and subconscious mind perceives your life to be is how your internal state is. Now, if your internal state is going to be what's reflected back to you. Now, a lot of times people, they continue to chase the reflection that's in the mirror. It's the vicious mirror cycle. They want recovery. They want results. They want to feel better. They want to change their life, but they continue to chase the results that's happening to them. They look at the results that's happening to them and they respond to it in a negative light. Instead of changing what's in here first, they look for external circumstances. So the steps first is to get your why, get your reason, get the purpose in which why you want to recover. Number 2 is you have to change your internal state. Your internal is going to be what your external reflects. And I couldn't have changed anything about my external before I changed what's inside. So what I had to start doing in my life was completely embodying my highest self. This means every single time I'd go on social media, was the content I'm consuming in line with my highest self? If it was, great, continue. If it wasn't, not interested. Every single person I would hang out with, I had to, lose a lot of friends. Not lose friends, but leave friends. Because I love them to death, but they weren't in line with my goals. Boom. Continuing to be on my highest self, because all anxiety and DPDR is a sign of misalignment with that true highest self. And if you can embody that highest self, it is 100% guaranteed that you will recover. So I completely changed my internal state, and I started to consciously choose positive inputs. And then my subconscious started to pick up on this, and my internal state started to completely change. Our minds can only consume so much information at once, and if you can change the input that comes into your head, everything about your reality will change. Because our brain's only job is to perceive and process information. But what the problem is, the information you've been feeding it with is not aligned with your highest self. Therefore, you're experiencing anxiety. Therefore, you're experiencing derealization. So what I had to do for me is I quit everything. I quit porn, alcohol, nicotine, Adderall, everything. I locked in on my diet. That was a positive input. I started eating right. I started waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. every day. You don't have to wake up that early, but that's what I did. I started to just become infatuated with self-improvement. And because self-improvement starts off difficult. It starts off as something that sucks. But eventually, over time, self-improvement becomes an addiction. And it becomes something that actually changes your life. And when you get more results, you love it even more. But the problem is, a lot of people, they don't do it for long enough to get actual real results. So what I did is I started to get real results with self-improvement. That made that input stronger. Then what did I do? I started to help other people, fitness coaching. So it was always positive. It was always just chasing something new. I started to tell myself the things that I actually wanted. Instead of chasing, like researching the condition, doing negative inputs, it was always positive inputs. I started flooding my brain with this positive input. Because when you first get derealization, at first, it's 90% of your brain. 90% of the time, that's all you think about. What you have to do is replace that 90% with real life shit. This means, replace that information, because your brain can only perceive so much information at once. And right now, it's 90% negative derealization. If you can replace that information with positive things like tracking your macros, drinking your right water intake, going to the gym, self-improvement, waking up at a consistent time. These things build a positive input within your mind, and they force your subconscious mind to adhere to the fact that you are confident. That confident then reflects your internal state. So when you actually go into real life situations, the reflection is something that you actually desire, because now your internal is positive. So it's never about chasing and responding to what's happening to you. That's the way to be in the matrix. The way to break the matrix, or the way to break the fucking trap of the world wants you to be in, is by controlling your internal state. We fall into DPDR and anxiety from all the negative influences that the world puts on us. And we end up reacting to these things, and it holds us down. But by changing your internal, nothing can stop you, because your whole entire life is a direct representation of your internal. And my world was created by my set beliefs. So what I believe to be true is how my reality formed. If I believed that I was a loser, if I believed that I never amount to shit in my life, if I believed that I could never recover, well, that's going to be my reality. So what I had to do was I started to anchor in only the beliefs that I wanted to believe. So you might be like, how the hell am I only going to believe what I want to be true? By detaching from everything. The reason it's so hard to not believe something about your life is because you're so attached to it. You're still gripping onto the worst case scenario and all the outcomes and what's going on and all these things. And instead of doing that, you have to change what really matters to you. And for me, I found God. I found my relationship with God, and I realized that no matter what happens in this life, if I can have my faith, I'm okay. So at that point, I was able to detach, and I was able to focus on the things that only mattered, which was my self-belief, which was the life I wanted to live, which was the places I wanted to go, which was how I wanted to talk and act. And I started to embody that self-belief. Which leads me to the third stage. The third stage, which is Embody your highest self at all times. Again, anxiety and derealization is a sign of misalignment with your highest self. And your highest self is just the greatest version of you. Like when you close your eyes and you imagine the greatest version of yourself, how does this person walk, talk, act, portray himself? Like how does this person act? That is embodying your highest self. So you change your internal state by doing these actions, and then you start to feel better, and then the recovery process starts to happen, and you start to feel better. Now it means to truly embody your highest self. This means past recovery, and even when you're weeks in and it feels like shit and your brain tells you not to do something, you continue to do it because your highest self is guiding you through it. Think of your highest self like a guardian angel, or it could even be God, like talking to you. It's telling you, it's giving you derealization and depersonalization because it needs you to see something that you wouldn't have saw otherwise. My message was the fact that I wasn't going in line with any of the true life values I had as a kid. I always wanted to be successful. I always wanted to live in Miami. I always wanted to change lives. I always wanted to do all these things within my life. But the person that I currently was at the time before derealization couldn't have accomplished those goals. So in order for me to accomplish those goals, I had to be broken down, sculpted, and built back up into the person who would accomplish those goals. Like a lot of times we pray to God and we ask for things, and instead of giving us what we want, He gives us what we need to become the person who can go get what we want. And that's what derealization did for me. So you become the person who can go accomplish your goals by embodying your highest self. And you realize that derealization actually happened for you. This was a lot of information. I talk fast, I know. But if you can take notes and actually listen to what I'm telling you, you will recover. It's inevitable. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, the link's going to be in the bio. You can also book a call in the link in the description as well I could see if you're a good fit for the highest self program to get you a fast recovery. But if not, at least you guys are led in the right direction. We're all in this together. You're not alone if you have DPDR. And I'm telling you, I was once in your shoes. I once thought my life was over. I've had every single solitary symptom you can have with DPDR, and I came out on the other side. Not just a normal person, but the greatest, highest version of myself, and someone that before derealization can't even comprehend. Catch y'all in the next video.